All right, everybody, welcome back for another video. Got another interesting one for you again today, and it's going to be mostly kind of a mixed news kind of day. So first and foremost, just to touch on a few things going around the crypto space. I just thought this was funny that Justin Sun, of all people, is calling out Filecoin. He says, exit scam here, 1.5 million Filecoin for 200 USD, each worth 300 million USD at the high. Now price is below $60, 70% down, no lockup, no announcement to the community. How much do you sell? I thought it was very funny that he's tagging the SEC in here and everything, because he's had himself a little bit of things he could get into in trouble legally. For those of you that don't know, Justin Sun is the founder of Tron, and he's done plenty of things to shill the coin itself. He's made announcements that never actually happened. He's had fake partnerships. He's had all kinds of things. But I think it's hilarious that he posted this picture of the guy that looks like he's telling. So I just thought that was funny. He's got the guy telling over here, but he's the one telling the SEC. But I actually do think that he's kind of onto something here. You know, there's a lot of drama going on with this Filecoin right now. If you haven't seen, it's getting wrecked right now. It's down 40% in the last 24 hours. It launched at around, it traded as high as, $80, I guess, yesterday. As he said, I think it was over 200 at ICO or something like that. Now it's at $40. So there you have it. Everyone's crying about Filecoin. I just think it is kind of suspicious, as he said, that they came out. This coin just got launched onto a bunch of exchanges, it's mainnet and everything. But look at all the market pairs it already has. Like, as soon as it launched, it came out with all these pairs. So he's basically calling out all these exchanges for allowing Filecoin to be listed and then just immediately dumped on the investors. So, I mean, he has a point there, but it's just funny coming from Justin Tron, of all people. So, that's about all I have there, except I wanted to say, overall, I've seen that Filecoin continuously on CoinCodeCap is listed as the #1 as far as activity on GitHub. So, maybe there's some hope there for you still. But right now, for the price action, it's not looking good. Probably is going to need a few months or so before it finds bottom, I would guess. So, all right, that's it for the Justin Sun and Filecoin stuff. Also wanted to make mention of this article very briefly. OKX suspends withdrawals, says key holder not available due to cooperation with investigation. As I've said, get your funds off these exchanges, especially these fishy ones that are all over in different countries. The regulations are coming. These people are gonna they're gonna do some time probably. All right. So I would just be careful. You don't want to be caught with funds on these exchanges, because they're just. Let me read this for you. So OKX has suspended all cryptocurrency withdrawals indefinitely, saying one of the exchange's key holders has been out of touch with the exchange because they are currently cooperating with the Public Security Bureau for investigations. OKX CEO later said the investigation is due to the key holder's personal issue. Yeah, whatever he's saying, the point is these exchanges are not compliant, and they are getting locked out of having access to their funds. So, all right, that's about that. Once again, especially if you're in the US, make sure you're on an exchange that has KYC. There's very few. So your options in the US, if you're actually being legal and compliant, are going to be Coinbase, Gemini, Binance US, BitREX, Uphold. I think that's about it. So, but yeah, just do some research, find out which ones you like, which ones have the cryptos you like, and what fees they have, all that good stuff. And don't get caught with your funds on an exchange that's going to suspend withdrawals indefinitely. All right. Next up, another very important article. Trump security hawks call distributed ledgers critical in US-China tech arms race. The Trump administration has included DLT, the granddaddy tech behind crypto and blockchain, in its strategy for preserving America's technological supremacy over China and Russia. All right. DLT is one of 20 areas of focus on the National Security Council's critical and emerging technology shortlist released Thursday. So there you have it. I think this is funny. It comes out, exactly at the same time Ripple swell is going on, and Ripple's calling for regulations. I don't know. They could be fronting. It could all be a stage, as a lot of people speculate. I don't really play into all that. I know for a fact that the United States understands what is going on right now. If you think they don't, that's just ridiculous. Okay, there's a reason that the U.S. has been in world supremacy forever, and that's because they've understood how to control the money. All right, that's what it always comes down to. The money. If you control the money, you have the world reserve currency, you win. So they're well aware. We'll see what they do to affect that outcome later on. But one thing I wanted to note really quick is, if you don't think that, they can control these markets and so on, you're sadly mistaken. All right. Perfect example of that is, I don't know, how or why all this came to be. But if you don't recall, or you weren't around during the last bull run, right here where I've put in the circle was December 17th and 18th. And that's when the bull run ended, basically. And it's of no coincidence to me that that was the same time that the CME group in the US launched their Bitcoin futures. All right. And so everybody in the US, not everybody, but all the major players, right? Think about this. Not everybody's trading on the, what does it stand for? Chicago something exchange. Anyway, that's irrelevant. So this is an exchange that not everybody uses, but mostly probably more institutional or professional traders, and they launched some futures, and then there you have it. Bitcoin was done for the year. And I don't think that the price dumped because of this. I just think that it was in relation to this. So I personally believe that the same people that are controlling the upcycle, the bull markets, are also controlling the price going down. So they probably knew, all right, this one's coming to an end, so let's go ahead and short it. All right. Maybe I could be wrong, but I just don't find it that it was a coincidence that they just dropped those futures at the same time the bull market ended. So if you think that the US doesn't know what's going on, I'd say think again. All right. And another thing to note, very important stuff here. So USD coin continues move away from Ethereum, heads to Stellar. The USDC is a stablecoin handled by Circle and Coinbase. It was once only hosted on Ethereum, but no longer. The USDC stablecoin is headed to the Stellar blockchain network early next year. It will make the third blockchain network to support USDC after Ethereum and Algorand. Up until recently, USDC was exclusive to Ethereum. So I'm not trying to hint at here that USDC is not going to be on Ethereum. That's kind of how this article makes it sound. But it's moving to Stellar on top of Ethereum and Algorand. So another thing to note really quick about this, Algorand sticks out. All right. So Brian Brooks, who's with the Office of the Comptroller, he's mentioned Algorand before a few times. So if you want to maybe find a sleeper crypto that nobody's talking about that much, and people do talk about it, but it's got a smaller market cap compared to some in the space, and it's been mentioned by a lot of people in high areas. So I think that one could be a sleeper there for you. If you're interested, do your own research. All right. I just think that this was interesting because, as I'm going to get into, Stellar was specifically designed for stablecoins. And there's been speculation in the XRP community as well as Stellar community that Stellar will be the platform for all of the world's fiat per se to run on top of eventually, and that it won't be Ripple. And I think that there is a reason for sure that USDC did not go to the XRP ledger. It could have. They both are very similar. So why did it go to Stellar? If you want my personal opinion, I do believe that Stellar in the future will be the one running all of the basically retail per se fiat currencies. And then I think XRP ledger might be used more as a settlement layer for assets such as anything and everything, like what the DTCC does right now. What they do, if you don't know, is a settlement layer essentially for all of the world's stocks and derivatives and everything that happens. I think that XRP is targeting that market ultimately, and I think Stellar might be doing more of the currencies. So could be wrong totally, but hey, we're all here to speculate. This is a speculative market, and if you don't get that by now, you need to. I'm tired of seeing people in the crypto community always targeting people for speculating future price and speculating, trying to investigate what the future might hold. That's what you have to do. None of this is written in stone. You have to read between the lines or you're just not going to get it. Okay, but let's go over to the Stellar webpage and see what they have to say about their system. So the power of Stellar. On Stellar, you can issue your own assets. Tokens are most useful when tied to currencies. In parentheses, representing dollars or won or euros digitally makes payments borderless and instant. In theory, on Stellar, you could issue a token for corn bushels or gold or shares of a REIT or an hour of your time as a consultant if you needed to. Okay, so I think more so that could be what XRP does, as I said, more of an assets settlement layer, and then Stellar be the currency settlement layer. We'll see how it all plays out, but it looks like we're leaning that way right now, especially with USDC moving to Stellar. All right. Stellar also offers a generalized toolkit for anyone to do what Tether did for the dollar with their USDT, or what Coinbase is doing with their USDC. The platform was designed for stablecoins before stablecoin was even a word. They tell you that right on their website, which is true. It's been around since 2014. But they mention right in here the power of Stellar, and they talk about USDC before it even went to their platform. So did you think they might have thought this was going to happen? Probably. Have they been planning it? Most likely. By default, Stellar tokens can be seen, held, and traded by any user, but they are highly configurable. Now, this is where it gets interesting. If you have specific compliance needs, you can, for example, require that any holder of your token pass your KYC program. You can also enforce Regulation D ownership requirements for your token. Now remember, I've said over and over, there will come a time where these platforms, these crypto platforms, can blacklist your address if you're not KYC. That's why I said all these DEXs that are out there right now, that are people saying, oh yeah, only if you support or value your privacy, you'll use these platforms. Well, they're going to force it so that everybody has to be KYC. All right, that's the whole point of this DLT and blockchain. I think people got lost when the Bitcoin white paper came out and it said money for the people, this and that. I just think it was a trial run to see how DLT would actually work out, how blockchain would work, and to see if it could be hacked and so on, whatever. Just a test run. I could be totally wrong, but the direction, everything that's happening right now is pointing towards a future, whether we like it or not, where everybody's money is cashless, as I mentioned, and it's all running on distributed ledgers, and any holder of the token has to pass KYC. All right, and then they can also enforce this Regulation D. Okay, so I'm sure nobody knows what that actually is. Plenty of people in crypto space are just here because they like the technology or they heard about somebody making money. Not many people are financially savvy, so I bet no one ever clicks that either to see. But let's see what Regulation D is. Here on the SEC's website, under federal security laws, any offer or sale of a security must either be registered with the SEC or meet an exemption. Reg D under the Securities Act provides a number of exemptions for the registration requirements, allowing some companies to offer and sell their securities without having to register the offering with the SEC. So right here on Stellar's website, they're basically telling you in the future, we're going to have the USD coin already there now, and eventually token holders are going to be required to pass KYC. And any asset that is launched on the platform is also going to have to comply with Reg D, and that they can do it. Okay. So they're not talking to us right here. They're talking to regulators on their website. So there you have it. Moving on, I just thought that it tied in perfectly with all of this. USD coin moving to Stellar. I talked about this literally in my last video. The IMF, World Bank, G20 countries to create central bank digital currency rules. Now, the only thing that applies from this article to what I'm talking about today, I've highlighted down below. So it says, CBDC systems should also connect to legacy financial technologies. They should settle high volumes of transactions instantaneously around the clock. That's not Bitcoin, that's not Ethereum. They should be impervious to cyber attacks and outages. Also not Bitcoin, also not Ethereum right now. And they should comply with regulations and monitoring that apply to money already in circulation and retain central bank power, the report says. So that's probably why USD coin is moving to Stellar and getting away from Ethereum eventually, maybe, right? Because they wanted to settle high volumes of transactions instantaneously, which Ethereum doesn't do, all right? It's proof of work. It can be attacked. It can have outages. If you disagree with that, I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you, all right? Also, the main points here, just like on Stellar's page, all right? If you have specific compliance needs, you can require any holder to pass your KYC, okay? So comply with regulations and monitoring, okay? And it can enforce Reg D ownership requirements of your token. All right, what is that? The Stellar platform sounds like it might allow people to comply with regulations and monitoring, and also help them retain central bank power with their USDC. I mean, this could not be more obvious, guys. It's right in front of our faces. It might not be the future that people want or expected with crypto, but you're just not going to get around these central banks retaining their power, all right? As much as we might want to, okay? All right. So that's about the end of that. As you can see here, I talk about it mostly on my channel that I believe XRP and Stellar will be the future of crypto mainly. We'll see what happens. Ethereum does the smart contracts, and that's what it's designed for, okay? So it can definitely have a place in the future as a layer one. But as some of you might know, XRP has the Flare network coming out that will allow the Ethereum smart contracts to port over onto the XRPL as well. So we'll see how it all plays out, all right? Just watch what the people that are in control are doing. IMF, World Bank, G20, they're telling us what's going to happen, okay? Telling us about how these platforms are going to require us to be following regulations and allow them to retain their power. I mean, what else can you say? All right. That might not be news that we want to hear, but that's what is. So, all right, moving on to some more positive news, I guess, per se, not just boring regulation and future I don't want to live in news. Okay, so the Daily Hodl. Asset giant Fidelity says BTC could reach a market cap of 1.3 trillion. Here's how. If Bitcoin were to capture 5% of alternative markets, as measured by the CAIA, that would equate to an incremental 670 billion growth in its market size. If it were to capture 10%, that would expand its market size to 1.3 trillion. According to Fidelity, the alternative investment market, which includes real estate, infrastructure, private equity, hedge funds, natural resources, private debt, and commodities derivatives, has grown to 13.4 trillion to occupy 12% of the global investable market in 2018. The asset management giant highlights that Chartered Alternative Investment Analysts Association is projecting that alternatives will likely surge to 24% of the global investable market by 2025. So within 5 years, they expect this market that they have to basically, what's it at now? 12? To double? Yeah, 12% now, so to double, okay, within 5 years. So alternative investments are going to boom, and Bitcoin and crypto are going to fall under that category. All right, so Fidelity, for those of you who don't know, manages 3.3 trillion in assets right now. Okay, so Fidelity is massive. They're telling their clients that Bitcoin is on the way. Okay, Fidelity report says Bitcoin market cap is a drop in the bucket of potential. The director of research, Ria Butoria, wrote that the crypto's current market cap is a drop in the bucket compared with markets Bitcoin could disrupt, which is everything. The crypto is fundamentally less exposed to the economic headwinds that other assets will likely face. In a world where benchmark interest rates globally are near, at, or below zero, the opportunity cost of not allocating to Bitcoin is higher. All right, so it might sound like I'm contradicting myself because I'm talking about XRP and Stellar, and now I'm talking about Bitcoin being explosive. Let me clarify why I'm doing that. So, no doubt in my mind, Bitcoin is going to explode over the next few years. It could grow into a massive asset. You know, if, as you've noticed, a lot of people in the XRP community are demanding, including Ripple, demanding regulations come out. All right. So Trump administration has literally said that they understand that DLT is crucial for the future of the world. Okay. So they understand. What I'm getting at is I'm not sure that the regulations will come until they can use it as a chess piece to defeat China right now. Okay. So besides all of that, we understand that Fidelity and all the people with money, even the mainstream news now, is pitching Bitcoin as a bullish investment over the next few years, okay? And they're saying that we're going to have economic headwinds that other assets will likely face. So the turbulence is coming in the market. Bitcoin is a way out. It could be used to handle it, but I wouldn't be surprised if these regulations that everyone is begging for, at least in the XRP community, come after the next cycle. All right, and they could use it as a something to step on the bull run per se and cause certain assets to win while certain assets lose. And if you don't think that can happen, that's why I already showed you this futures enactment per se. So Bitcoin peaked at the same time the futures were launched on the CME group. I don't think that's coincidence, and the whole point that I'm showing you that is because I believe that they will play their chess pieces when it is beneficial for them. Okay, not saying it's good or bad or this or that, but one last bullish thing I want to talk about for you guys is RIOT Blockchain. You know, I always cover them, so I wanted to do some numbers with you guys. So let's say Bitcoin runs all the way up to $1.3 trillion. Okay, so as I've said before on my channel, I think the only thing that Bitcoin has going for it is its hash rate. So it has a massive hash rate. It's a great network security layer per se. So I think that that's where its intrinsic value comes from. Where it derives its value from is its security layer. So if Bitcoin were to reach 1.3 trillion, let's do the math. Add a bunch of zeros there. What do we got? Millions, billions, trillion. Okay, perfect. All right. Well, as I've shown you before, RIOT Blockchain is set to have about 1.5 to 2% of the Bitcoin hash rate by the middle of next year. So if price of the company correlated with hash rate ownership, which I believe is where the value comes from in Bitcoin, remember now, as I mentioned, speculating, of course, but how else can we speculate this market, right? If hash rate is what everyone proclaims Bitcoin's value is in, I agree with that. How much of that does RIOT own? So if they own 2% of the hash rate, let's see what that comes out to. Oops. 26 billion. So if their price, big if, right, speculation here, could somewhat correlate with the market cap of Bitcoin as far as hash rate, they could get to about 26 billion in market cap. All right, and they have, as you can see here, 49 million shares. So let's just say 50 divided by all the 50 million shares out there, you would get a price of $520 a share. Okay, now is that realistic? Maybe, maybe not. I don't really care. I'm just showing you, giving you an idea. Okay, so when you're what else do we have to go off of as far as price metrics in crypto right now? We don't have many. I think hash rate ownership would be a good one to go off of. So now let's say they only did 1.5% of the hash rate. So, sorry, did that wrong. Just 1 second. All right, so they only did 1.5% of the hash rate. You get 19.5 billion for market cap. You divide it by 50 million shares, and you get a price of 390. So as I mentioned before, my price target for Riot is easily $100 through the next bull cycle. I believe it can get, I've said before, I believe it could get upwards of $200, $300. Would not be surprised. So this is how I invest in Bitcoin. I could be totally wrong, but I don't think so. I think Riot is going to blow up over this next cycle. So it correlates very well with Bitcoin, and it just moves faster. Right? It moves at a higher percentage rate. So I believe that we could see it get somewhere up in that ballpark. Would not be surprised. So if you're holding Riot, I hope that's a bullish way to look at this for you. Obviously, as I've said, it's just speculation, but we'll see how everything plays out. Okay. That's about all I got for you, besides one last thing. Last but not least, I wanted to take a look at the S&P 500 with you, because it's important to always follow the stock market, because right now crypto does kind of move with it, realistically. But anyway, you do have a bearish divergence on the RSI, as well as what looks to be a double top forming on the weekly. So not looking good. I could definitely see a pullback, right here, at least back down to the moving averages once again. I wouldn't be surprised, 10%, 15% drop could come. But I don't think it's gonna, dip into some kind of massive pullback, honestly. Like, I think that we could pull back to the moving averages, and maybe, see some stability and continue upward. So just want you to think, maybe over the next few weeks, you could definitely expect some turbulence in all of the markets. So it would not hurt to, be prepared to do some buying. Jim Cramer actually said the same thing. So he said, prepare for a pullback, but also prepare to buy the dip, basically. So we'll see what happens. Not financial advice. Just keep it in mind. These things all matter, at least as of now. Once again, hope that was an interesting video for you. As always, please like and subscribe, share with your friends and family, and stay tuned for the next one. Thanks.
What is a cashless society? What does it actually mean in a literal or high-level sense?
Money will become like these, relics of a different age, and will only be found in places like this. In other words, hard cash will disappear. It will become electronic, transferred by things like these.
Then Tracy is in Beijing to show us what a nearly cashless society actually looks like. Ben, good morning.
Mobile payment transactions in China reached a cumulative total of 277.4 trillion RMB in 2018, ranking #1 in the world, according to the recently released statistical report on internet development in China. As of June 2019, online payment users in the country reached 633 million. The cashless society is now approaching.
When's the last time you paid with cash? Well, chances are cash has taken a backseat to the plastic in your wallet and smartphone pay apps.
Denver 7's Ryan Luby explains the digital pay revolution and why not everyone is on board.
The cashless society, the cashless society.
The cashless society.
The cashless society is now approaching.
The cashless society.